Welcome to the first annual Make an Impact Awards, as we recognize Penn Staters' impact in their communities. And your host for tonight, the quarterback of Penn State's 1982 National Championship team, an academic All-American, a Penn State Distinguished Alumnus, and the lead analyst on NBC's new primetime Big Ten game show. Welcome, Todd Blackledge.
Hello. Thank you. I am thrilled to be here and just honored to be your host tonight for this first inaugural Make an Impact Award. You know, people define success in a lot of ways. I personally think it's a lot more than just what a scoreboard or a stat sheet reveals. I think true success or a true successful life is found when people find something that is bigger than themselves that they can pour into and they can make a real positive impact or difference. And so we're in store for a great evening tonight, and we're going to honor people who are serving in their communities. But before we get too far along, we need to start with this. Back in December, we lost a great Penn Stater, all of us, in Franco Harris. He was a legendary Hall of Fame performer on the field, but off the field, he was one of the kindest, most humble, gentle person that I've ever met. And just as much a part of his legacy was his commitment to serving others. And he used his platform for a long part of his career to make a difference and impact people. And so it's only fitting, I think, that the very first Make an Impact Award should go to Franco Harris.
Welcome Dana Harris and her son, Doc Harris.
What Franco did for others, how he represented this university, so congratulations.
Thanks, Todd, and thank you all for being here tonight. When we did the run-through today, I said to Guido, now I'll talk for 35 minutes. Most of you know I'm not kidding. But this is an incredible award, and there are three terrific guys here tonight. To make an impact, you find something you love, and you do it. You make a difference. Impact isn't always with a capital I. It's as simple as just saying hello to someone that everybody else walks by on the street. Each one of us can make an impact every day. Franco was exceptional. And for as much as I watched him and what he did, I marveled every day. That was just how he was wired. So thank you for this, and I honestly can't think of a better person to get the first one.
I agree.
But congratulations to all you guys. It's terrific. Thank you.
Thank you. Big round of applause for the first ever Impact Award winner, Mr. Franco Harris. Thank you.
He's a hometown hero and an NFL analyst who's regularly giving back to the community through his program that promotes wholesome development of youth.
This is football weather. You gonna get muddy, you gonna get dirty some days. And then other days, man, it's just it's a nice fellowship. The sun is be shining, and everybody having a good time.
When you're a part of a team, you're part of something greater than yourself. They're learning how to work with others. They're learning how to persevere, learning accountability. With the football team, we welcome all. So race is set aside, religion is set aside, income is set aside. It's all about being part of something greater than yourself. That's a value that's priceless that's being taught to these kids on a daily basis.
I'm proud of y'all. We got some stuff to work out, but we're gonna deal with that this week, man. Y'all enjoy y'all win. Yeah. I'm proud of y'all, man. Y'all went out there and played football.
So about 2,200 kids every season. We're talking spring, and then we're talking in the fall times too.
So outside of football, there's also the after-school program. They have a whole center where we currently are. And it's just a great place to give back. Not only is it just for the after-school youth who come here, it's just a great resource in the community for everyone. Football is not just getting plays or getting yards on the field. It is a strategy. There's a skill set involved. There's a skill set that's similar to coding or similar to just the analyzing part of just life and how it relates back to daily life. So Mike wants to remind us that football is more than just staying in physical shape. It's also a mental shape.
They're learning to see how families can work together. They're learning long hours. They're learning to persevere. They're learning how to be great. They're learning how to take losses. All the teams, we battle hard, we compete hard, but we love each other at the end.
1, 2, 3, family!
If you can impact one person, we feel like we've done our job.
Now we can welcome Mr. Michael Robinson.
I do like how they brought the quarterback up first, though.
Yeah.
Always the leader.
I thought I was
Always
third in the
leader.
rehearsal. Come on, Guido. Huh? I'm just playing.
So, as the video showed, Mike, you founded Excel to Excellence in 2010. You were telling me today there's actually 2 branches of your nonprofit. Talk to us a little bit about both of those aspects.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank the Paterno family. I want to thank everybody involved in making this thing happen. To be celebrated, to come back here, to be celebrated for something that I'm doing off the football field, it's like a bucket list thing, man. You know, football's been my life for so long, and so being able to come back here and be celebrated for what we do in the community, it's very powerful, and that does not go unnoticed, so thank you. That's number one. Number two, so Excel to Excellence, we started Excel to Excellence in 2010. When you become a professional athlete, you get a lot of pressure from home to do something. But I play fullback, you know. It's not like we're breaking the bank, making a bunch of money, right? So, you know, it took me some years to get my finances together, to learn my finances well enough so that I can give back. And so we created Excel to Excellence. I just wanted to have a vehicle where I can give back to the community. Richmond, Virginia, the city government down there gifted us the old Verona lot with the old library from my area. And all I did was ask, like, y'all building a new library, what y'all doing with the old one? And they said, we didn't think that far. I'm like, well, I want it. And so we were able to, create a building that's a resource for the east end side of Richmond. I'm from Richmond. You gotta understand Richmond, the middle of Richmond has Henrico County, same county. One side of that county is the eastern side, which I'm from, the western side. Same county, same taxes, same everything. You think you were in another country on the west end. Mm-hmm. On the east end, where I'm from, you think you were in a third world country. Mm-hmm. And so that's partly why we created Excel to Excellence. And then the football side of everything, Excel to Excellence Youth Football Foundation came along because I was raising money to try to make the Learning Center and the Resource Center something powerful in the community. I didn't want people to think that we were mixing any funds up. So I said, you know what? Let's just create another 501c3, make it all about football. We run leagues. We're like the National Football League in our area. We create the schedules, we create the games, we have league presence at every game to create and maintain a safe environment. And our goal, like we talked about earlier, is to attack the 98.4% of kids that will not make it to professional sports. Because there's a 1.6 chance that our babies that are playing youth sports will make it to the National Football League or some type of a pro sport. And obviously I know football, and so we use football as the carrot, right? To get the kids' attention. And once I got all 5,000 of my families or 5,000 of our kids, I have their attention, we're able to teach them something. We're able to teach them financial literacy. We're able to teach them, you know, kind of like what I had. I had a coach tell me when I was 8 years old, Mike, like, your gift is speaking, your gift is communicating. And I knew that from 8 years old going forward. A football coach told me that. And so I believe football is a skill developer. And at Excel to Excellence Youth Football, we use the game of football to help a kid figure out the skills to be successful in life long term. Because again, 1.6% chance, go play your local lottery. You have a better chance.
Yeah. You brought up an interesting point that a football coach told you that when you were 8, and you've got this huge league and a huge presence. How important, and it was great seeing some of the guys and hearing some of your coaches, how important are those coaches in the lives of the people that you're working with?
Yeah, when you realize what you're really doing at a league level, you're really coaching the coach.
Yeah.
The coach is the one that's actually on the field with the gladiator. The coach is the one that's actually pulling the skill or recognizing the skill or being that confidant for the parent. The coach is the one that's making a fan out of the kid and the parent. The coach is the one that's, you know, allowing this kid, helping this kid smile every day. That's the goal. We want to smile every day. It's a game. And I just remember, you know, being on the football field wearing that powder blue jersey at practice with Joe, and yeah, he would get on you. But at the end of the day, he'd say, man, it's just a game, you know that, right? There's more important things going on. And that's kind of that same energy we try to give to the young people in Excel to Excellence Youth Football.
You obviously have done great things there in your hometown, but there certainly have been obstacles, right? So, I mean, what's been the hardest thing for you to overcome in pursuit of some of the things you're doing?
Oh, wow. How much time we got? Okay. I tell people all the time, it's not enough just to give money, right? Because there's a whole community out there that sees that money as poison, because they're like, do you really know what I go through? And so I look at myself as a conduit. I look at myself as a person that somebody from that community can say, okay, Mike Robb, he from where I'm from. He's vetted this out. Let's use this to do better, you know, because far too often we see people in our position give money and the money just doesn't get the change that you want. And so fundraising, having people understand that I can't fund it myself, because again, my goal is to bring the entire state together, right? And so that the resources can get to the kids that need it, because when I grew up, there weren't any. There weren't these types of resources. And so I live in Richmond, Virginia. My foundations are based there. I work about 150 days in Los Angeles and New York. There's really no earthly reason for me to be back in Richmond, Virginia, but for what I'm doing in the community.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Well, keep loving them and keep smiling, bro.
I turn around, I see safe space. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it wouldn't just be a group of kids playing basketball if it wasn't a group and a village of people here, you know what I mean, that were willing to make all of those things possible. You know what I mean? Some of the kids are playing ball. You got some of the kids that are inside working on homework. You got some kids that are in the back, just in the computer lab. But at the end of the day, If this space wasn't here, where would these kids be?
It's just an all-round place for them to go that they need right now in this time of day in this world.
A place where they can go and be themselves.
They brought brightness to the community.
Aaron Mabin was born, raised, and to this day lives in Baltimore.
Former NFL player turned teacher, Aaron Mabin.
With a simple mission to help underprivileged and at-risk youth excel.
He's gifted, and he doesn't mind sharing his gift with anybody that wants to share it.
He's the glue that holds everything together.
They listen to him, I'm telling you. I don't know if it's because he's a big, tall man.
We have a counselor, we have an artist,
a teacher, a preacher, an educator.
Father figure, he's that mentor, he's that brother, you know, he's that uncle, you know, he's just, whatever they're missing in their life, he's that.
All those things, because that's him rolled up in one.
He's actually boots on the ground, committed, 100% committed to trying to make a difference.
We all have a personal responsibility to do right by future generations. And how we handle ourselves in this moment determines the opportunity that our kids and our kids' kids will have.
You remember Mr. Aaron at the rec center? How he used to make us read and stuff? Man, we ain't want to read, but it paid off. Because now, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a teacher. I'm getting anything I want because I have the knowledge of reading and writing. That's what I think the impact will be. My charge to everybody in this room is for everyone to find what their responsibility is and to see where they can have the most impact.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Aaron Mabin.
Welcome, welcome.
Wow.
Good to have you back here, man.
Good to be back.
Yeah.
Good to be back. It's been some time.
Such a fascinating journey. I mean, I was telling you this earlier. I mean, you've done so many interesting things in your life. You know, obviously a great athlete, artist, author, educator, activist, so many cool things in a place that is dear and near to your heart and needs as much help and as much input as anywhere in the country. So,
absolutely.
We were talking earlier today, and I wish you could share this a little bit with the folks here about art and how important art is in your life and how long that goes back to when art really kicked in for you as something meaningful.
Man, for me, that's a lifelong journey. I think I told you earlier, I was creating art before I could form words and speak. You know, and as a kid that in Baltimore City, West Baltimore to be specific, you know, I grew up functionally illiterate until I was in the 6th grade. You know, so in terms of just being passed through, being kind of, we were the children that were left behind during No Child Left Behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And experiencing that, growing up in that environment, that becomes your normal. And not just for yourself, that becomes normal for your peers. That becomes the status quo, so to speak. And when I actually was able to really use my art to speak about my story and to actually share my experiences and my emotions, that became my preferred language method of choice. You know, after my mother passed away at 6 years old, I stopped talking a lot. You know, I didn't really share with people what I was feeling or what I was going through. And in Baltimore, you don't really have safe space, you know what I mean, to go to your homies and to talk about stuff like that. So art became the way that I communicated. And knowing what a valuable resource that was in my development, when I got old enough to use my platform to really speak to certain issues that were important to me, obviously the arts had to be at the top of that list because I know what the arts did for me in my life. In many ways, it probably saved my life.
Yeah. Art activism, it's just an interesting phrasing. Explain that. What's your definition of art activism?
Art activism is using art as a tool to inspire and challenge and create social change. You know, Art Activism was the title of my first book, and the reason that I wrote it was because throughout my time in studies here, where I was studying integrative arts and studying, Black history, American history, studying the social justice movements of the past, understanding how art was intrinsically tied to each of these movements. You can't show me one movement that we had in this country where I can't show you how art directed and expanded its voice, its presence, and its impact. So, in academia, when I started looking around for examples of the type of art that I made and more literature and academia around it, I realized that it didn't exist. And, one thing that I really believe intrinsically is when you look around and you see something that doesn't exist that's really passionate on your heart, it's because God intended for you to create it. So I wrote Art Activism in 2017. By 2018, it was being taught at about 5 colleges nationally. And I realized that we were on to something here. So after that, I decided to write the workbook version of Art Activism, which became the beginning stages of the curriculum that I developed that's now being taught in about 29 schools in the city of Baltimore, about 56 schools nationally. So, humble beginnings, small things can become things that are so much greater.
Yeah. We talked, absolutely. Last question, or last thing I want to hear you comment on, and you've used the word purpose here a couple of times. And earlier, you were talking about, obviously, the work you're doing in the place you're doing it, there are obstacles, there are setbacks, there are roadblocks. But you made the comment, when you are purpose-driven, it's different than just doing a job.
Yes.
And you do feel purpose-driven, and that allows you to just keep plugging away, right?
Absolutely. I mean, anybody that does this work, it's thankless work. I'll be very honest with you. Nobody's waking up every morning to pat you on the back and thank you for your service. You know what I mean? You're lucky if, 5, 10, 15 years down the line, and that started to happen for me, and it's honestly a beautiful thing. If your students and your mentees start to come to you and say, this is how you've impacted my life. This is what I'm doing now because of your teachings. This is what you've opened my world up to that I've now taken and expanded on, But again, those moments are few and far in between. So if you're doing it for the praise, if you're doing it for the money, if you're doing it for the celebration or the fanfare, you're not going to be in it long.
Yeah.
But if you understand that all of us has a responsibility to leave this world and our communities in a better place than we found them. All of us has a social contract that whether we choose to acknowledge it or not, we're bound by to make sure that we set a positive example to the next generations that follow of how we're supposed to deal with one another, embrace one another, support one another, uplift one another, build for our communities. I just get tired of hearing people talk the talk without rolling up their sleeves and getting their hands dirty. So if I'm gonna be talking, then it's only going to be in the time that I'm not actually out there working. I think that should be what we should really be focused on. Anybody can talk a good game, but it takes a lot more initiative to be the person out in the field that's doing the work.
And you can see that even if it's just one life, right? One kid that you help makes that day worth it, right?
Absolutely. I think too many people in this line of work have what we call a savior's complex. I don't believe that I'm out there saving anybody. I'm serving, and there's a big difference. If you think you're out there saving people, you're probably the wrong person to be doing the work. But I think that when you approach it with a servant's mentality and you approach it with a love ethos that forces you to look at everybody's humanity and everybody's situation as being deserving of the same life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, then now we're cooking with grease. Now we can actually get in here and we can start to address the real problems that are tearing our communities apart. But we can't start to do that until we can at least get on the same page about what we're fighting against and how we need to go about doing that.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you.
Keep up doing the good work.
Always.
My name is Tashuga Aro. My name is Faith. My name is Odette and because of the support and knowledge I am getting, I hope my dream of being a doctor in the future.
Bottom line is trying to help the less fortunate, trying to help people that may not be able to help themselves in the way that we can help them.
Thank you, but things are not easy.
I decided to work with Happy Valley Uganda because of its aims of transforming the young citizens through education.
Knowledge, values, guidance, and counseling.
For a lot of these kids, I think if you don't go to school, the cycle sort of kind of repeats itself, and where you don't move forward.
It has helped us to improve our economic status.
I'm now able to pay school fees for my children. I'm able to pay rent. I'm able to provide other basic needs to my family members.
Happy Valley Uganda also touches the lives of Ugandans by providing health insurance that provides health services to pupils and workers whenever they fall sick.
I feel honored to be part of this program, and to see it grow as it did, from its infancy when we were trying to figure out how are we going to do this, what's going to go where, and things like that, and to see where it is now and to see the impact that we're making. It's always been our goal from the beginning to build this school.
Without you, where would we be right now?
The meals, knowledge, and skills gained have given us hope for a bright future.
Imagine training us from nothing to something. Long live Happy Valley Uganda!
Happy Valley Enrichment Program. We are grateful for your country. We are grateful for your country. We feel proud for your support. That is why we sing and dance.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bill Spohr.
I want you to know that I volunteered to come up here with 3 other people, all of whom are professional speakers. It's like sitting down to play poker, not sure who the dumb guy at the table is, and realizing it's you.
Well, you're a pretty smart guy too, right? Great success in business, and I guess my first question is just why Uganda? Well, what led you there, and why did you decide to start a work there?
About 1 million years ago, Elke and I were at an Amy Grant concert, and during the intermission, she was so kind as to put the pictures of many children from around the world who needed help. And we randomly went over and picked up a picture, and it was a girl by the name of Doreen who reached out to me actually just a couple days ago. She's in her mid-30s now. She was 8 years old, and she was from Southwest Uganda.
So you mentioned your wife, Elke. You guys formed Happy Valley Uganda in 2008. You launched it in 2011. High impact educational initiative. What define that for us?
I guess I think about that as it's not hard to measure. You can look at longitudinal data. We have a corpus of data that we keep. But I guess I think about it like when a large nonprofit asks you for money, you give them money. It feels good. You're not sure where it's going, and oftentimes it's just going to fund an operational budget. Compare that to raising money around, hey, there's a guy in the corner right now who needs a sandwich and a shirt. You can get tons of money raised that way. And I guess I think about what we're doing a little bit more like that. And we think about donor ROI, so return on investment for a donor. The money goes directly to the poorest people in the world, teachers and kids. And so we're kind of proud that it's that efficient.
You mentioned you and your wife Elke started this. You guys have 4 lovely daughters,
Do you?
right? and they've been involved in this, right? Yeah. They've been part of this work. How meaningful is that your daughters are exposed to this, participating in it, and having this life experience? I think we would all like, the message to our kids to be, it's not about you. Despite what Instagram and TikTok want to tell you, it's not about you. My kids take pictures and video of themselves in the kitchen all the time, and Elke and I are like, what are you guys doing? Like, what would, And so, maybe that's the first step. My kids have definitely seen poverty before in Africa, and in Africa, and the kids that we serve, yes, of course they don't have electricity, of course they don't have plumbing, but they don't even really interact with the cash economy. I mean, I was saying this earlier, but you give them 100,000 Ugandan shillings, and they're like, hey, can I get a goat instead? So it's different that way. But interestingly, when we're there, and this is a real thing, and I remember them asking my kids, but the last time I was there, they asked me as well. They just said, why do you want all this stuff? And when I go there, I don't have anything but a t-shirt and shorts, and I don't tell them anything about myself, really, it's the mission at hand when we're there. What do you see as the next step for Happy Valley, Uganda? Yeah, so I think we're trying to, continue to do a really good job with the efficiency of the program, to do a good job with ROI on charity dollars. We want to continue to make sure the enrichment program is going to feed this secondary school, which will launch in January. We really want to teach life skills. A lot of the people there don't know how to swim, and some of these people run boats for a living, and I'm not kidding. It's crazy that so many people live around water and they do not know how to swim. We'd like to teach swimming. That's a bit of a tall ask because you need access and a lot of other stuff. We'd like to make sure they have an understanding of how to use money and family planning is another big life skill. But yes, and we're in the process of a search for a headmistress because we'd really like to have a woman run the school, not because that's in vogue and it is in America, it's not there, but it's just so easy for men to be more important than women there that I don't worry about the men getting squeezed out, and I think that having a headmistress would be better for the girls that are at the school. Awesome. Last thing. All of you guys, we've all had opportunities to win awards, right? And be recognized, and this is a special night for all of you. For you, why is this achievement, this award, extra special for you? Well, for me, obviously, Michael and Aaron, these guys are ridiculously talented guys. Let's be clear, if we were playing football right now, I'd be taking the laundry to rec hall, okay? So, these guys are total studs, and but for me, aside from that, it's really about the paternal legacy. Joe came here in 1950. Where would State College be if Joe hadn't come here? I think this is I think it's a cliche now that he turned an agricultural school into a global university, but we all know what Joe did. We know that we all have a friend, a roommate that came home their freshman year and said, I'm 6th on the depth chart. You're like, dude, it was like the first day of practice. Yeah, but you don't know how many coaches told me I would start my freshman year. And Joe wouldn't give, and the kid wanted to transfer, and between parents, coaches, and friends, they didn't. And over the next 2 years, one guy fell out of school, one guy blew out his knee, the other guy didn't work very hard, the other guy got switched to the offense, and the other guy, he was just better than. And before you know it, he's a junior playing when he should play, not as a freshman when he doesn't really know what to do with his success. And now those are the values of Joe. And you can say, oh, that's from the past. Okay, there's a lot of people who can't handle early success, and it is a problem. And Joe knew that. But
but I don't need to sit here and tell you all the things Joe did. We all know that. Joe did a ridiculously number of good things for people that you'll never know about, out of the public eye, happened all the time. I'd be surprised. I mean, every coach, every player has asked him for a letter of recommendation, right? Everybody, and he did it faithfully and steadfast. And Sue Paterno, I mean, how many players did she tutor at her house, right? Players that needed help and some that didn't, but nonetheless, they performed well because of her. And Jay, you know, the last 10 years has stood in the breach and defended the brand name of Penn State and his siblings, of course. And, you know, we all own stock in Penn State. And the more successful you've been at Penn State, the more you rely on that stock to trade at a good PE, right? So he stood in the breach and done that. And so for me, it's about the Paterno legacy tonight. You know, Milton Hershey turned Hershey, Pennsylvania into a family town. And I don't know where State College would be right now without Joe, but and the whole Paterno family, but it's clearly an incredible family town.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Penn State's Vice President for Intercollegiate Athletics, Dr. Patrick Kraft.
No. Let me just say this. Michael, Aaron, Bill, where you at, Bill? There you are. Wow, right? I don't know what else to say. It's incredible to take the time to do what you do. And when you were talking today with some of our athletes and we're doing the interviews and I'm watching this, wow, and thank you. You sit at these events and you want me to close. What am I gonna do? I got nothing. But I sit there and I think of two things really very prominent. What Franco Harris would have thought today. And most importantly, what Joe would have thought today. I mean, think about that. I could sit there and I think about, that's what I was coaching them for. I love winning. I don't care who you are in this room, I love winning, right? I loved winning the Rose Bowl. But that's a byproduct of who our young men are. Dom, Disa. And it's a byproduct of what you all, and by the way, you all and everybody in this room did for 100-some years before our young men here and our other young athletes that are here. And so I'm humbled, I'm almost embarrassed to be standing here because I laugh, being honest, I'm not ever gonna be as good as these three. But I'm humbled and honored to be in this, to have this opportunity to share this with your family. My wife and I are very humbled to be part of this Penn State family and to see you all. One thing I will say every time I come into these environments, and I'm always amazed, is one word: love. Love. And that's what we have. And that's what we should always hang our hat on. And that's what makes us different. That's what makes Penn State special. That's what makes this the best institution and community in the world. So all I will say is thank you for letting us be a part of this. Thank you, the Paterno family, for thinking of this concept and this idea. Thank you for Guido for pushing this. So my last duty from Guido, I know not to upset Guido. Where are my boys? Okay, so come on up. Adisa, Devon, Dom, come up here. You've seen what this program has developed. This is just this is less than 1% of what this program has developed. This is the future and where our program's gonna be. I'm very proud of these three. You should be very proud of our football team because that legacy that Joe instilled is there. These guys do so much in very different times, and they do it for a love of Penn State, for this culture, for this institution, and for the football family. And so our young men, and it's a football crowd now. We only get a couple weeks off. It's gotten worse over time. Bobby got a whole summer off. Joe gave Bobby a whole summer off. But we get back in, now they only get 2 weeks. That's it, you're back in it. These young men, and I think 9 others of them are going to Guatemala. They had to raise $3,500 to go to Guatemala to spend a week in Souls for Souls. What is it? Tell them what it is.
Me and 11 other teammates will be heading out to Antigua, Guatemala, to be handing out shoes to, the less fortunate children out there. And yeah, we're gonna be out there for a week, hanging out with the locals, learning more about their culture, handing out shoes.
And so the impact, so I love my guys, but the Impact Fund is finishing their fundraising. And so these three will be going, you're going to Guatemala to do your job. So here you go. The Impact Fund is covering the trip for these three. They're gonna go with their teammates. So this legacy continues. It's getting better and better and better and stronger when we realize what your past was and who we are. And these guys are a great, great display of the Penn State football family and who we are as a Penn State University. Thank you all. Appreciate you all. Love each and every one of you. Thank you.
Football players to the stage, please. The Harris family to the stage, please. Back to the stage, please. Rigo Romeo to the stage, please. And Sue Paterno to the stage, please.
Hey, we really thank everybody. Everybody, thank you for coming, supporting these guys, supporting and helping those in need. Now, here's the challenge for all of us, right? Let's go forward. Let's look for our opportunities, right? For our places where we can make an impact. And like Dana said early on, it doesn't have to be big, it might be small, but we can all make a difference. We can all make an impact. Drive safe and hope to see you next year. Thank you.